It's portal madness. Colorado has the most players enter the portal, but also have a massive list of transfers on their radar. Is it time to panic? Plus the full Cormani McClain saga detailed and so much more. Now roll the intro.
Give me my theme music!
What's up, everyone, and welcome to Buffs News Weekly, your weekly recap of all University of Colorado football news. I am your host, Russ Dornish. Make sure to hit that like, comment, and of course subscribe, as we are on the trail for 1,000 subscribers. But for now, let's jump into it. Okay, to start, let's get some of the negative news out of the way now. Let's chat about the biggest portal surprise before we get into the other players that are leaving. 2023's five-star number one cornerback Cormani McClain has left Colorado and entered the transfer portal. Now, let's detail the Cormani saga and why he may have trouble finding another team in the Power 4 level. It all started during his dramatic recruitment that had so many twists and turns and broken promises. First, Cormani told a number of people that he was committing to Florida, only to announce and surprise a commitment to Miami in his commitment ceremony, in which, yes, he was late to show up. Flash to signing day, and Cormani no-shows, with plenty thinking he slept in, only to find out that Coach Prime may have had a hand in it as he reached out to him, and Cormani was now considering Colorado. Then, after that failed signing day, Miami coaches, again trying to close the deal, went to Cormani's high school, only to find out that he was not there and actually in Colorado visiting. Finally, during the late signing day, Cormani made it official, announced his flip to Colorado, and signed on the dotted line. But things only kind of went south from there. Cormani was unable to enroll early, and when he finally joined the team late, he was noticeably out of shape. Due to this, Cormani didn't even see the field in a number of Colorado's early season tilts, where they started 3-0. When finally asked about it, Coach Prime had this to say.
You mentioned last week that Cormani seeing the field was up to Cormani. I wonder if you could elaborate on what you want to see him do. Did he help his case?
Study, prepare.
Late against
Study,
Oregon?
prepare, be on time for meetings. Show up to the darn meetings. Understand what we're doing as a scheme. Want to play this game. Desire to play this game. Desire to be the best in this game. At practice, in the film room, and on your own free time. You do know that I check film time for each player upon the week. Thursday, I need film time from the whole staff so I can see who's been preparing. And that's just not about Cormani. That's about a multitude of them. So if I don't see that you would be a fool to put somebody out there and they're unprepared. Can't do it. Won't do it. Can't do it. I'm old school. I'm sorry.
Did Oregon help in that regard because he got out there late? Did what you saw?
What a score. Shoot. I started to put you out there at one point.
It was after this moment that we thought we saw some change, and Cormani started getting playing time, even getting coaches' praise after the USC game. Cormani finished playing in a total of 9 games and showed some promise of what could be to come. If you want to really see a deep dive into his game, by the way, Buffton Prime again came through with a film study that had so much to see. You can find that in the link in the description below, and I highly recommend that you go and check it out. Finally, off-season hit and things looked up when Cormani was named the Student of the Month in January. But then things started to go wrong again. Cormani went missing during workouts, where many were wondering where in fact he was. In Buff Nation, the phrase, "Where's Cormani?" became the norm until he finally resurfaced and said directly to the camera at a workout,
Some not transferring.
But that wasn't the end like we thought it was. Spring began, and while Cormani was there to start spring practice, he disappeared once again, this time for good. In fact, one of the coaches was asked about it, and he said that Cormani had just started practicing, but was out of shape and would need time. Well, finally the whole saga ended this week with Cormani entering the portal. When asked about it, Coach Prime had this to say.
I wanted to ask you about Cormani, Coach. He obviously entered the portal. Just, is there anything that you could share about the situation?
I'm always in prayer for our young men, and I want the best for them. And I pray to God that he goes to a program that challenges him as well as hold him accountable and develop him as a young man. Unfortunately, we weren't the program that can accomplish that. So prayerfully that he understands that this is the second go-round and get it. Go get it, man, because he has a tremendous amount of talent, but he has to want it.
Something that is really speaking onto Cormani's situation, though, was his old high school coach coming out this week and saying this, and I quote, "I don't want to say I was necessarily surprised," said Keith Bearfield, McClain's high school coach in 2020 and 2021. That was a lot of work that I had to do getting him to start doing the right things. He's a kid that grew up and always got away with things because of just how good an athlete he was. Some things we did were that first step of taking steps towards it and kind of warning him about it. Florida kids are going to stretch your limit. They're always going to fall to the floor of your standards, whatever that floor is. They're going to fall to it. That's why I liked Dion for Cormani, because I knew Dion wouldn't kiss his butt. End quote. It seems that the off-the-field immaturity is right now what is hurting McClain the most and making it look less and less like he may get an offer for a Power 4 team. We will see where Cormani eventually ends up, and honestly, guys, truly, we hope for him and his family's sake that he thrives and flourishes and gets it all together. We really do wish Cormani the best of luck for his future. Now, including Cormani, CU had 15 total players leave the program so far this past week. While people on the outside may think the sky is falling at CU, one look at the players and their production on the field tells you CU is not losing much production from last season at all. The biggest loss is probably Jaden Milner-Jones, who was seen as a player that was potentially developing into a starter. But it seems he wants to speed that process up and will seek a school where he can start at right away. The other surprise of the week came from Eric Brantley Jr. entering the portal. EB, as he is referred to, is a 2024 commit that just got to campus this spring. However, if you watch all the well-off's coverage that has been shown on YouTube, EB was not showing so well both in conditioning and one-on-one drills. He definitely looked to be on a similar path to Tajay McCoy, who is going into his second season at CU and is going to factor as rotational player on the defensive line before most likely taking over the starting role in 2025. Word directly from EB's camp say he wants to start and is looking for a spot that will accomplish that. Quote, "Redshirting is not an option," end quote. Another surprise was the loss of potential starting running back Alton McCaskill, who last year was coming off an ACL that didn't seem to heal up fully, forcing Alton to redshirt. Alton was starting to pick things up this spring, but now looks to find a home elsewhere. And lastly, another player who was only on campus for a few weeks was tight end Chamon Mater, who transferred in from Cincinnati. That is 2 years in a row that a tight end has transferred in and only lasted a couple of weeks, joining last year's tight end Seydou Traore to leave the program. No matter what we may think, we here at Buffs News Weekly wish all of these players the best of luck in their college careers and hope they find much success moving forward. Now, on the other side of the coin and the positives from this week, with so many players transferring out, that only opens up spots for transfers in. Well, as we speak, a number of players are visiting campus and rumors are already swirling about who will be joining the team. Here is the list of recruits, both transfers and high school, that are currently in Boulder. Of note is the transfer players who, based on production, film, and history, could heavily factor into starting positions for next fall. First up, running back Dalton Hayden recently entered the portal from Ohio State, where as a backup, he put up good numbers in his given opportunities, with many Ohio State fans saying that he was the future of the program. While Hayden does not carry the speed of a Dylan Edwards, Hayden is a prototypical between the tackle runner that runs hard, finds the holes, and has great field vision. He would make a great pairing with Edwards and would almost guarantee to find a spot as a 1A, 1B tandem with Dylan Edwards next season. Also visiting this weekend is Pittsburgh edge Deion Hayes, who played with recent transfer Sam Okunlola last season. Hayes put up good numbers at Pitt, tallying 81 tackles, 27 TFLs, 13 sacks, and 3 forced fumbles in his career. I am sure that working with Coach Sapp and creating quite the edge room at Colorado will be very tough to pass up for him, as Colorado needs to continue to add that depth on the defensive line. Probably the biggest position of need that I always talk about week in and week out is linebacker, and well, Tennessee's team leader in tackles last year, linebacker Elijah Herring, is also in Colorado. Herring had a great season last year, racking up 80 tackles, 6.5 TFLs, and half a sack plus 1 pass breakup. Herring would most certainly find a spot in Colorado's starting lineup, but someone else that might join him in that lineup who is also visiting is Nikai Hill-Green out of Charlotte. Green started and produced 73 tackles, 9 TFLs, 2 sacks, and 1 forced fumble in just last season alone. Both Green and Herring could factor into the lineup come this fall at both linebacker spots if they commit to Colorado. Some other depth pieces visiting are Ryan Buell and Peyton Kirkland. Buell is a D lineman from Ohio, where Kirkland is a young O lineman from Texas. Buell brings a hard-hitting, fast approach to his position, while the young lineman Kirkland comes from Texas after having an injury-filled season for his first year. Both players are looking to start fresh, and with recent departures have a chance to fill those roles and holes for Colorado. Not only are there transfers visiting this weekend, but also recruits. Elijah Griffin, the number 1 D lineman in the 2025 class, is visiting Boulder as we speak. Rated as a composite 9984 on 24/7, the Georgia native is being highly recruited all over the country. Right now, reports put him committing to Georgia, but you have to wonder if spending the weekend with Coach Sapp could sway him Colorado's way. The other name coming in is IMG's own Major Preston. Preston is a top DB in the 2025 class, hailing from Florida and teammates with Colorado's own Jordan Seaton and Cash Cleveland. Playing for Coach Prime from the DB position will always be a major factor. And then another top recruit coming to campus this weekend is Christian Thatcher. Thatcher is a 9013 composite 4-star linebacker out of Las Vegas, Nevada. The 6'2", 205-pound Thatcher is the type of hard-hitting linebacker that the Buffs need to bring along and could be a big factor for the future if he decides to commit. Of course, this is just a sample of what is to come. Many people around the country and other teams and fans are saying that Colorado is done with. 15 people leaving is the end of the world. However, the production that is leaving is very minimal when compared to the possible production that Colorado could bring in both this weekend and next. And with next weekend being the massive weekend that is the spring game, we look forward to seeing what happens in the coming days. In other smaller news, Colorado got a commitment from a local prospect, with Charlie William coming home to Colorado. The Aspen, Colorado native, who played his high school ball at IMG, played last year in college at UNLV and will factor into the team's plans at tight end. The 6'4", 240-pound Williams will get a shot at playing with so few options at the tight end spot. We are excited for Williams and want to welcome him back home. And lastly, some quick NCAA news that we told you we would update you once it was finalized. A few weeks ago, link the video up above, we talked of some new rule changes that were approved, but we're waiting to see if they would be implemented this season or postponed for next. Well, the NCAA has finally come out and approved headset and tablet use for this upcoming season, showing a huge jump in college football and its old school styles of hand signals that we covered previously. There will also be 2-minute warnings added as well. This is big news for the NCAA and especially the Buffs, since coaches will now be able to communicate with players directly from the sidelines. And that'll do it for this week. Big reminder, next week's video will be delayed as I will be attending the Colorado Spring game. So make sure to follow on Twitter for next weekend to see all the festivities and what happens, and follow along as I take that journey. Instead of the news, next week, we will be putting out a spring game vlog that Wednesday following the spring game. So stay tuned for that, as I'll let you know what it's like being there, talking to fans and other content creators. So make sure that you subscribe, because you will want to know when it goes live and will not want to miss it. For Buffs News Weekly, I'm Russ Dornish. Sco Buffs!
Give me my theme music!